All right, we're good to go. Welcome to the show. So I've got big news. Seeing as you are Enlightened 2.0, and I've been doing this for like almost a year. I feel like I've read enough books. We've philosophized enough. I feel like we've come to a conclusion on things. I feel like I know enough now that I don't think there's any need to continue with the channel because we pretty much know the gist of everything, right? Like, yeah?
Yeah, I agree.
No, I'm joking, and he's mimicking me and copying me because that would be ridiculous to think that, you could come to a conclusion on all the things that we've talked about in our philosophy, which brings us kind of to the main gist of the show tonight, and that is the subject of knowing. Now, you're getting a kick. What is going on?
I don't know what you mean.
Alright, so
I'm just jacked.
you just jacked for the show.
I'm just jacked.
Well, anyway, tonight's subject, we are talking about knowing. You've thrown me off with your look and everything, so
You can't trick the chicks.
you've unraveled me with your costume tonight. But knowing, in the day and age where everyone seems to have come to a conclusion on everything, they're picking sides. They know what they believe. They're not moving. They're solidified. It seems a little ridiculous what's going on. What do you think?
Yes, I think that what you've said is okay. I gotta knock it off. I can't do it.
Here's the thing. I've read like probably 3 or 4 personal development books this year.
I gotta get this off.
And
this is crazy.
And the trending thing throughout all those books were, you gotta stop being so damn certain about everything. It's killing you, literally. Stop being so damn certain. We've talked about beliefs on this channel, the relative nature of beliefs, and how they turn into dogmas and ideologies, and then they result in this end conclusion, this certainty of knowing, and it's all a game. It's all a big giant ass game that you're playing with yourself.
Do I have any more bobby pins in there?
No, that's gross and disturbing. Oh, your hair is ridiculous now.
Back to normal.
Yeah, back to normal. So, with all this,
There is another one in there. There's 2.
Is there? Oh,
yeah.
I couldn't see. With all this knowing going on, you got to jump in and tell me what you think is going on. Are people too certain? Are people too damn certain about things right now?
Well, okay. How certain are you that people are too certain? I mean, what?
Yeah, I know. That's the problem with the fact is that you bring up knowing and beliefs. And like, well, how do you know that you're not? I don't know. That's the problem. I don't know. You're led into this conundrum, and you don't know where to go with it. But it seems like it's a big giant ass game that people use to get their point across, whether it's their religious belief or their political belief, or if they're just trying to get you to damn do something to meet some type of a quota, or get they're trying to get something out of you. It always seems like that there's something behind this knowing, and it's not actual knowing, right? And it seems like in this day and age, things are really heated in life right now. Between, like, we're from Canada, and if you're watching from another country right now, we're in the midst of a big political thing, which we're actually going to do an episode. We're going to talk with a special guest this week.
Cool.
At least that's the goal. That's the plan anyway. So we can get into politics on that day. But everyone seems to think that, they've got the answer to something, and they walk around with their chest out, pointing their beliefs in the direction, saying, join the knowers camp, or we don't want to have anything to do with you.
Right.
So you haven't said really much. What do you think?
Join the knowers camp. I'll just say it right now. I don't know. How do you say this? Where most people put a lot of faith in people that consistently claim the same thing, they know and they stick to it. Yeah. That's like what you'd call, what I think a lot of people consider good leadership skills. Like, this guy doesn't buckle under pressure. He ain't origami. He sticks to his original thing he said. I'm a little bit of an outlier in the sense that, to me, that terrifies me. Anybody that can't say I'm sorry, or say I'm wrong, or actually, good point, you've changed my mind. That freaks me out. That's a scary human to me. Let's go from there.
Yeah. So over the course of history, we've been certain about so many things. We used to think that the sun revolved around the earth at one time. We used to think that urine could use as an anti-aging substance on our faces.
It might. It might. I don't know. You'd have to try it.
You'd have to try pissing on it.
That's pretty low risk. You'd stink, you'd be smelly, but you have a shower. Right?
Yeah. But the stuff that we convince ourselves of and we're so sure about ends up becoming a giant farce. Give anything enough time.
Yeah.
Give anything enough time in the existence of infinite possibility. Eventually, it will somehow come full circle and be given enough time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
in science, even in math, that's happened before. I'm not going to explain how.
Yeah.
But even in math, there have been discoveries where they're like, this is new, within the last couple of centuries.
Yeah, and and a lot of people haven't even, I know nothing of quantum mechanics, but I've listened to people talk about it, and they're like, this is going to unravel everything once we go deep around it. There are things going on in our universe that we just don't damn understand. There's black holes running around the universe, gobbling up light. And we're like, well, we know what that is. No, you don't. You've been inside of a black hole? You don't know shit. You can hypothesize, but these people, when they talk about this stuff, you listen to documentaries about space and where things are going. They're so certain the way that they talk. It drives me crazy how certain.
Well, they have a certain level of certainty. I think that trumps our level of certainty when it comes to analyzing black holes.
Yeah.
But I see your point. I agree with actually your point there about it's even found in science. It's even found there, and it's found in math, and there are new discoveries that happen when they found out that there were varying levels of infinity. Infinity is not as simple, not that it's simple, but you can't even take something like infinity and take it at face value and be like, oh, infinity's infinity. No, there are higher,
bigger infinities.
Bigger infinities.
Yeah.
Took forever to spit that out.
No, I know what you're talking about. I've seen that too, and then you've got the whole thing with paradox. There's all these things that come into the frame of things, and this everyone getting so heated over certain aspects. Can you not see that there's is there not this correlation, you think, between knowing and selfishness or survival, or somehow trying to maintain your peace? I feel like what's the thing going on right now? I'm so sick of hearing this all over the mainstream of everything is well, we follow the science. We follow the science, and I hear people tout this who've never done a day of science in their life. That drives me crazy. Like, did you put the lab coat on? Did you look underneath the microscope? Did you see the things? No, but they tout it. Don't you understand that 99% of everything that you believe is on pure hearsay? Have you been to Mars? Have you stepped foot on Mars? You believe in it so much. People used to believe that the world was flat until they exited,
And your point is completely valid, and I agree with the point, but I don't think that the point is for everybody, because if you lack a certain, if you're not willing to go a certain amount, there is good reason to trust doctors. If you go to the doctor and you've got a broken arm and he sets it and puts a cast on it, you now have built some trust in a doctor. And if you go to if a scientist does something that enriches your life to some degree, or an engineer, or anything else, there's reason to have trust in them, and teachers and all kinds of different things. That's for sure real. But it gets to a point that when you get into spiritual matters, or matters that kind of start to, within those fields, there are unexplainable things.
Yeah.
And where one person goes, well, I don't care about the unexplainable things. I care about what is measurable. I believe there's a religious belief, not religious, but a belief that you can ascribe to called naturalism, which is anything that is measurable and tested. That's what they believe so far. Yeah. And if it changes, they'll believe that. Buddhism sort of like that, actually. Buddhism leaves room for beliefs to evolve.
I think what I'm trying to get at is to tread lightly, to stop being so damn, definitive on everything. I feel like this is one of the things that is causing so much problem in people's lives, in their own personal lives and collectively, is the, going around spouting out, that you're so absolutely correct on certain things, and it couldn't be any other way. Mm-hmm. It's like, chill out, just chill. Mm. It's okay that someone doesn't believe the exact same thing, and it's better to take a stance of I think that I'm right. I feel like I'm right on this system, but I could be wrong. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make the decision based upon my best intuition, what I've studied, what I know. I'm going to go with that, but I could be wrong, right? Mm. I could be wrong. And I find that's a much better place to be, because if you do hold on to something that's it is the firm, rock solid truth, and then it's blown apart and it's debunked or disproved, then you've got a bigger problem. Then you're like, oh shit, I went around demonizing people and telling them that they were idiots.
For some reason, the term "live by the sword, die by the sword" springs to mind, and I think it's like this: if you live by a belief or principle, then you die by that belief or principle.
Good point.
I don't know how, it's pretty self-explanatory.
No, it's a good point.
Leave it at that.
It's a good point.
But that's the term that comes to my mind when it comes to holding your beliefs loosely. It's like, pick the hill you're going to die on. Pick your poison, because you gotta pick. At the end of the day, you could philosophize to eternity and nothing would get done. Yeah. And that's actually like a path. You could pick the path of eternal philosophizing and never getting anything done. That's an option. You could do that. You could pick to hate your enemy fiercely, and then actually convince yourself that there's something honorable about dying on some battlefield, and then you could go out that way and believe that you're going to Valhalla when you're dead.
I think it's impossible to not believe something or not make a choice on something.
Because even if you choose to be nihilist, even if you choose to not believe something, you're kind of believing in that thing.
But if you, right? I think if you hold a spirit of I'm willing to be wrong, I'm willing to be disproven, I think that is a healthier state.
Try it and see how it works for you. That's my never-ending credo.
No, yeah, there you go.
Try it, do it for a week, preferably when you're young, so there's not dire consequences. but try some stuff out and see what works and what doesn't work, and then.
Well,
what else can you do?
Well, you can lock yourself into a cage by being so certain and knowing you could. Sometimes the cage can be so firmly locked that you can't ever get out. You might have to die and be reincarnated and do it all over again. I don't know if that's even a thing.
Yeah, but people do that gladly. They do that happily. It's called murders.
Yes.
You know, they're so delusional that they'll imagine things as they're dying just so their ego won't collapse on itself. You know, that's what you will do. Yeah. That is how you're going to go out. is in Delusionville.
Yeah.
This, you know, if you really go down the rabbit hole, you know, if you really go down the Alice's rabbit hole, you're going to find insanity, man.
So
latch onto something.
In one of those personal development books, which is, I got one here called, this is one of the first ones I read this year, it's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F. I just want to read this one tiny little quote out of the book. It just said this, and I was just rehashing. It says, certainty is the enemy of growth. Nothing is for certain until it has already happened, and even then it is still debatable. That's why accepting the inevitable imperfections of our values is necessary for any growth to take place. So that was kind of the I guess a summation of all the books and stuff that I've read, and then I finally did finish this big ass book last night, which is called The Book of Not Knowing. This is a giant ass book by Peter Ralston.
Thick.
Yeah,
Took me 2 fingers thick.
Took me a while to read that bad boy. Now this goes down takes it to that whole other spiritual level that we're talking about. That basically says, in order for you to like I said, I'm not saying that this is true. I'm just going off of the guy spent his whole life studying this shit.
Yeah.
So I just thought
How much money did he make off the book? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know. Probably. I have no idea.
I wonder if he cares about money at all. I wonder if he even cares about that.
But anyway, I think
is it a bestseller? I've heard of it.
Basically the gist of this book is that basically the only way to truth is by literally letting go of everything that you know.
Mm-hmm.
But he comes from a Buddhist-y type of Zen. The only way you will arrive at rock bottom in experiencing, I guess, full consciousness and understanding is by being able to completely let go of all knowing. Let go of all your knowing, and then, but, easier said than done. Obviously, it requires, tons of contemplation, self-reflection, meditation. He's got practices in the book. Try these practices. The book ends with him saying, read it again, because you didn't get it. So,
right.
Yeah, but that was kind of like a fascinating dive into knowledge and understanding of self and stuff like that. But, I don't know, just food for thought, something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go. There you have it.
Sometimes I wonder if, spiritual gurus or guys that are masters of, understanding your nature, your fundamental nature of what it is to be a human alive in this reality. Sometimes I wonder if their whole life they spent circling the fact that there's literally no escape from being a selfish prick, and then they just, all enlightenment is just a plunge, a dive into self-delusion, into, I accept it, and now I'm taking the mantle of guru. I can't get out of selfishness, I can't, so I might as well capitalize on it. Sometimes I wonder about that,
Yeah.
They don't have to work, they don't really, you know what I mean?
Well, or it seems to be a staple of stage. What is it? What's the stage? Not stage teal. What's the
coral living is what you're talking
No,
about.
I'm not talking about that. What's after yellow? Turquoise.
Turquoise.
Sounds like the staple stage.
Sorry, you're talking about
spiral dynamics.
Spiral dynamics.
Yeah, no, it just seems like a very stage coral or turquoise type of belief. Staple of thinking. But anyway, with all that said, so in my religious-y deep dive this week, I jumped into Zoroastrianism, which is one of the oldest religions around.
Haven't we talked about this before?
No, we haven't. Has nothing to do with Zorro or asteroids. Zoroastrianism came out of Iran in about 1500 BC. Nowadays, there's only probably about 200,000 of them left. And it was, might be the first or one of the very first dualistic religions to have this pure light entity of good. Their god's name is Ahura Mazda.
That's off of Star Trek, right? Ahura?
Uhura.
Oh, sorry.
But this god is called Ahura Mazda, and the devilish dark entity in the universe is Angra Mainyu. And apparently, in the beginning, they existed in two different voids of light and darkness until one day, Ahura Mazda made a physical reality, and then the Angra Mainyu, seeped in there and got in there, and created all this evil in the world. Now, this religion was apparently founded by a guy named Zoroaster. So, thus the name of the religion, Zoroastrianism or whatever. And so back in the day, there were priests in Iran, and then when he converted them, these priests became like magi in the land, and these are the magi that are actually talked about in the Bible. 3 of these Zoroastrians came to meet Jesus, and so basically there's this conflict between evil and good, and they have a whole... It's all about being moralistic, being a good person, so that when you die, you'll be judged based upon your good deeds or your bad deeds. If you did a bunch of good deeds, you get to go to heaven. If you did a bunch of bad deeds, you go to hell. And at the end of all this, there will be a big apocalypse, and then the devil will be locked away forever, and all of humanity will be saved and get to go to heaven at the end. So it sounds like a few, Abrahamic religions. Now, this whole Satan identity seems to be the first signs of a Satan in spirituality and stuff like that. And then this whole dualistic notion of God. There's like a monotheistic super universal being, and then this evil entity. And then the evil entity will be triumphed by good. There are angels and demons also in here. And the Bible, I think in the book of Isaiah, kind of mentions some of this stuff. At least I found that kind of in my studies. But there seems there's not much left of this religion. It was kind of taken over by, I think, Islam invading in Iran, the Iran area, and then a lot of these guys moved to India. So I think that's where the last majority of them reside, is in India. But yeah. That's all.
Is the Savior that they're talking about Christ?
So yeah, they have a Savior. He apparently hasn't come yet. But their Savior, Sayoyat. Yeah, so I can't even say the name.
Sayoyat.
But apparently their Savior will also be born of a virgin, and he will save humanity, and he will bring about the new age. And like the end of the apocalypse and all that jazz. So
apparently he's gonna have long hair and a beard and have a brother, and you'll know the coming of his time because he'll have imitated his brother at the beginning of some sort of.
That's what it says.
It gets vague because they didn't have the words back then. I don't know.
On Twitch stuff. So, there you have it. Another philosophical debate. It's been good. Tomorrow, or this weekend, I'm hoping to get together. We're going to have a special guest on our show. And we'll post that hopefully by the end of the weekend. I want to thank everyone for coming out to the show. It's great to have you. If you want to smash
everyone.
the like button, the subscribe button, you can also join me before the show for a meditation every Thursday night here on Twitch. We do this live. I do a meditation starting at 8:30, and then Justin comes here, he joins me, and we hash things out. So, until next time,
stay spiritual.